Call this meeting, this special meeting of the Toledo City Council to order for November 24th, 2025. First is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Paul, would you take a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Keating.
Yes.
Councilor Burns.
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Kaufman.
Yes.
Council President Mix. I almost tried to say Madam Prez.
Sorry, yeah.
And last but not least,
Here.
That is City Manager's Huebner.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. Our next items are separated out here on our agenda, but they're all interrelated. And it is a discussion and possibly decision on A, recent DHS activity in Lincoln County, B, supporting City of Newport in their efforts to block the building of an ICE detention center at the Newport Airport, C, the Coast Guard helicopter removal, and D, draft or make a final resolution by consensus. All right, Andrew, would you like to start us?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City staff for making this special meeting possible. I am just happy to have this on the discussion, but I'm happy to just kind of hand it over to the group. It's a work session, so.
Well, did you have something, Jackie?
I just have a question
Yes.
about the agenda.
Yes.
You said the last item was to make a decision. Is that on all of those?
So that's what we will work towards, whether we just draft a letter, draft a resolution,
About
or if-
all of those topics?
about all those things,
Okay, that's
or
all I needed to know.
all, none, any number.
Gotcha,
But
okay.
since they're all interrelated, I wanted to, because this way we don't get stuck on one topic. I hate to say this, but they're all like this at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
And I would also mention, Mr. Mayor, that we put it on the agenda we didn't specifically label it as optional. We put it on the agenda so council had the opportunity
correct.
to finalize tonight if you would like to. If you kind of come up with a framework or a draft that you would like to give direction to myself and the city attorney to put a quill to and bring you back at a later date, that's an option as well. So
That's what I consider the draft part of that.
very
The
good.
draft is we give direction to staff what we would like in something, and then staff can bring it back next week.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Are we welcoming public comment?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I wasn't sure if we wanted to do that before our discussion or after.
Well, I thought we'd get started and then see what Mr. Chuck can add to it. I know they've been busy at this also.
And that's what I was thinking, since I had a chance to listen to their special meeting that they had last week about this topic and some of the actions that the county is taking in conjunction with the efforts in Newport and by the Fishermen's Wives. So I'd be personally very interested in what Commissioner Chuck can share with us about what's going on and provide us some context.
And while the commissioner is coming up to the microphone, a quick clarification on Councilor Keating's question. We did not list public comment on the agenda because when we do so separately, that's generally for items not on the agenda.
Correct.
So tonight, we're limiting the discussion to this agenda item.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Glad to see a commissioner in the building.
I call it commissioners in the wild. So just for the record, I'm Walter Chuck, County Commissioner. I'm here speaking as a commission member and not for the full commission. But what I can say right now is that because we have not taken a position on the ICE facility, I can't speak to that as I'm a commission member. If it would make more sense, I would like to come up during, if I could do so, if I could come up during the Coast Guard helicopter discussion, because that's the thing that I've been the most involved in. And that's what the county is involved in as far as legal activity.
Does the county have anything on the recent DHS activity, including, I'm assuming, ICE arrests?
We have not, and actually, like I said, I will just speaking on the helicopter tonight.
Then I will call you up when we get there.
Right, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who would like to speak to any of these three topics?
We do have 3 attendees, Mr. Mayor, but no one has indicated they want to talk.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's start with the DHS activity. One of the things that I've been noticing is that ICE is moving more and more into the outside of metro areas over the last few weeks. We have had an incident here in Newport, and one of the things and Sergeant Pitcher, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand our sanctuary state status, what that means is that if they request assistance, we give assistance, but not until. Is that correct?
We are prevented by state law from assisting.
Well, I mean, if something goes down and they call us, we still don't go?
No. If ICE calls us,
No.
Okay, I'm thinking of shooting, okay? That's what I'm thinking of, not of,
No matter.
Even then, they're not allowed
Okay.
to, they're barred permanently from being able to assist in any kind of arrest or anything.
then
Unless
how do they do that in Portland? How do they do that up in any of the other cities in the state?
That I don't know.
Okay, that's my point. It doesn't, see, that may be what the law says, but it appears to me that if they call for assistance for legal reasons, not assistance in arresting people, but.
yeah, generally the agencies have been called due to the activity of on either side. And we will show up and we will be present, but we will not assist in any kind of.
Exactly, okay. All right, I'll be honest, it worries me after especially reading about the McMinnville case. For those of you that don't know, a 17-year-old student was off campus at lunch and was arrested by ICE. They watched him walk off the campus, wait till he got to his venue, and then they arrested him. Now, I'm not sure what large criminal activity the young man was in, but I don't think there was any. And that disturbs me. Because I think I'm gonna speak for myself here. When they talked about going after the criminals, the gang members, the violent illegals that are in the country, I have absolutely no problem with that. What I do have issues with is when they go after children, when they go after what I call the low-hanging fruit, the guy at the Home Depot or at Jeremy's trying to get day work. That does bug me. Because usually those people have started a process somewhere to try and get there. And I am hoping that as this administration continues on, that they will see the difference between someone trying to make a better life for themselves and those that are trafficking, those that are causing violence, those that are breaking felony type laws. Thoughts?
Agreed.
I agree with that. I don't think this administration is showing, it seems that they're going in the other direction. Kristi Noem has made several statements that if somebody has entered the country illegally, they are a criminal and she will go after them. That does not align with our value system, but that's what we're up against. It's really, really hard to not compare some of the tactics they're using with less well, let's just call it with Nazi Germany.
Oh,
I mean, when you are blocking off streets and carding people, just because of the color of their skin, we've crossed a line we shouldn't have crossed. When I and you can walk freely because we are white, and somebody who has darker skin is automatically suspect, then we have a problem. Then we've allowed racism to enter into this, and I think it's entered. I don't know what that means for this ICE facility or any of that, and I don't know how we confront it other than just standing firmly upon our beliefs. But that's why we're here.
I can agree with most of that. I just don't see what kind of impact our little city is going to be able to have on a federal agency. We can send a letter or make a resolution, but it's not going to force them to do anything different.
And
That's true.
And some clarity, I think when this was drafted and we added this to the agenda last week, DHS activity includes the helicopter, the
Yes.
detention center, stuff like that.
Yes.
So when I asked for this item to be on the agenda, tried to put it all under DHS activity because of DHS's oversight of the Coast Guard and ICE and all of this. And I think perhaps DHS activity also got kind of pulled out as a third item as opposed to an overarching umbrella.
I wasn't even aware that DHS was in control of Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So I had to look it up, and they officially took over in 2003.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be in charge of our Coast Guard.
One of the, I mentioned this last week, but one of the things that I'm most concerned about is, and we heard this from our sheriff a week or so ago, who had participated in a meeting along with, I think, 38 sheriffs from across the state, called for a meeting with the regional ICE office in Seattle to just get a handle on how ICE's tactics, plans, impact local law enforcement efforts. I think our local law enforcement is put at risk by the methods that are being used by ICE. To Tracy's point, I think that one of the hardest things to see is the, driving while brown being treated as enough to pull somebody over. And when we see ICE acting, they are not acting like typical law enforcement. We are continuing to see incidents of minimally trained officers because they are recruiting quickly. They are recruiting with a hiring process that doesn't vet meaningfully at the same level that we typically expect for law enforcement, meaning that we are more likely to have reckless officers in ICE. We are more likely to have less qualified officers in ICE, less trained and more prone to violating their mandates and their protocols. So what we end up seeing is more and more incidents of ICE officers ramming vehicles off the road violently. And I'm sure we've all driven on the roads around here and across Lincoln County, but there's not a whole lot of places that I think it's safe, not that it's ever safe, for a large unmarked, no license plate truck to ram a vehicle off the road to apprehend a potential immigrant. Now, Sergeant Pitcher, if you see an unmarked vehicle running another vehicle off the road, this is just a rhetorical question. Don't feel like you have to answer anything. But do you assume that's law enforcement?
No. And I think, like Sheriff Shank said,
Yeah.
our law enforcement gets caught in we have a state law that's duty to intervene in excessive force.
Yep.
If we're put in those situations, that is the concern of us.
Yeah, and so to me, my biggest fear is that moment where one of our local law enforcement officers, just trying to do their job, sees ICE doing what it perceives its job to be, which is to run somebody off the road, Now, our officers think there's a violent act happening, and so maybe they draw their weapons. ICE officers get out of the vehicle with their weapons, and when guns are in question, bullets are fired. That's a situation that I have very serious concern about. It's not just about protecting immigrants. And don't get me wrong, that's a part of it. Protecting our immigrant community, protecting our documented immigrant community.
We have to protect our officers and our people because they're bystanders in all of this.
Yep. So I think that the tactics when we're talking about what ICE is doing concern me greatly. I also think that they're not doing it with good faith. We're hearing, I have unverified, I don't have verification that this has actually happened, but I have heard that in Lincoln County, at least one Latinx-owned business had been contacted under false pretenses to send its employees to a site where they were met by ICE agents hoping to apprehend them. So now it's predatory. We're getting into entrapment where just having a Hispanic sounding name on your business can make you a target. That can't be enough.
Yes, Jack.
So what's been said here is incidences that are not verified, that, you know, I'm hugely upset by this, in as much as, whether you believe it or not, we have media who are hell-bent on dishing out reports like they're ripping them out of their cars, and then it gets put on like that's fact. And yet I hear other stories that wasn't really the way it happened. Now, regardless, so are we here to talk about whether ICE is doing a good job, or are we here to talk about, because, you know, I mean, I could tell you things I heard too, but what, you know, it's not right what we're saying.
Well, what the instance I used was corroborated by his classmates who watched him got dragged out of the establishment and not peaceably put into a vehicle.
All right, so we don't know all the pieces of that either.
Well, here's the other side.
Here's the thing, Mayor, is that are we going to, is what we're up to is to build a case, ICE bad, let's get rid of them? Or are we just simply going to be talking about the impact of the potential of having an ICE detention center and how that's going to mess up Newport?
Well, here's part of the education process, okay? I asked if entering this country without a passport or a visa, okay, which is normally how you get into a country, is that a criminal act? It is only a criminal act to enter the US without a passport or visa if you are attempting to evade inspection, or if you have a previous deportation order and re-enter without permission. However, simply being in the US without proper authorization is a civil offense handled through deportation. So a civil offense is like going to court and losing a civil suit. And the last time I checked, we don't treat people who lose in a civil suit this way.
Yes. Now, with that being said, there are so many that have come into our country that are undocumented, that really aren't the best of the best. And so my understanding is they're starting with sorting those out, and even young kids that are MS-13 or whatever group, that gang that they belong, whatever. But my point in saying that is that deportation is gonna happen. It's
But if they were
to
going
happen.
at, Jackie, just follow my logic here. If you're gonna go after the worst of the worst, okay, and those folks, and I will get in trouble for saying this, but I'm using it as probably the best way I can describe it. 5% of Los Angeles County would now be in jail.
Yeah.
But is it? No, we're not getting the criminals. We're not getting those guys because those guys will fight back. Yes, Jack.
I want to go back to a point that Jackie made during her conversation about supporting the efforts of building the ICE detention. It's not whether or not we support ICE. It's not about whether or not we agree with the immigration laws and all of that. It's not about that.
So
It's about a detention facility
But
and
if-
its needs and the demands that we cannot meet for that facility.
There's also the
Take
fear.
the politics out of it.
I'm talking about fear in our populace. I know
agree.
people that literally are afraid to go outside.
I agree.
I can,
Go ahead.
so I think, absolutely valid. I appreciate the political aspects of this. But one of the things that I think we also talked about last week was recognizing that 11 months ago, this council had intended to create a declaration against the message of the Brown Roundup letter that we all received. And so part of, I think, the third item on this, if we were to call it, the sort of the task that we have in front of us, in addition to whatever we do about the detention center or the helicopter, the third item is revisiting the declaration that we planned to make. And figuring out what the language of that would be. And I think that's where it gets a little bit more practical on the conversation about ICE's tactics, because now those tactics that we saw in that letter, being promoted in that letter, are the tactics that ICE is adopting and more aggressively. And it is right. There's dozens and dozens of documented videos, verified videos of actual ICE agents doing incredibly violent, reckless things, endangering lives, and very frequently not particularly interested while they are doing that in the actual documentation status of the people that they are apprehending. That said, I think getting back to the idea of that declaration is, I think, the core of what we aimed to do for tonight.
So let's drop item A for a moment, okay?
Yeah.
Is there anyone not wanting to support the City of Newport in their efforts to block the building of an ICE detention center at the airport?
I think the question is how we support too, so.
Well, that's specifically with that.
No, I don't think we need a frickin' ICE facility in Newport not because of the fear that it'll put in people, but for the simple reasons of we cannot support that facility. We cannot support it with the sewage, we cannot support it with the water.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. That alone should be the main reason, outside of whether or not you want that ICE facility, like you said, just not here. I don't care about having ICE facilities, but we don't need it anywhere near here. Then it will destroy the tourism.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna wanna come back here. And where are we gonna put all, excuse my language, but the piss and shit at? Because Newport's already got a problem with that. Where's it gonna go?
It's gonna start stinking over there, cause there ain't gonna be enough water for all them showers.
Well, and this year should tell everybody that we do not have a guarantee, for lack of a better word, plentiful water source
No,
that we would need. And that's why that, you know, it was very hard to get that. So there's a new hotel going up in Newport, but it took almost 8 months to get it through the planning commission. And it was because of infrastructure issues,
Another hotel.
right? I mean, we don't know if they can support another, I think in this case, it was 150 rooms or something like that. And so if you're already looking at limiting your tourist industry, why would this still fall under our ability to provide infrastructure if we were the city of Newport?
exactly.
Well, you know the feds ain't gonna pay for it. That, I
No
mean, and
comment.
that reason alone is the one reason I absolutely don't want an ICE facility in our community. Just the infrastructure alone is enough for me to not want it.
Anyone else?
I already said my piece.
Okay. So are we all agreed on that? Is that a point of consensus?
Based
or-
on infrastructure, yes.
Okay, so that's what we would center that on.
I would focus on our infrastructure capabilities are not there to support this detention facility. The likelihood of negative impact, long-lasting negative impact on our key economic
If you're gonna
drivers.
list anything other than the infrastructure and physical need,
Tourism.
you have to also take into consideration the other side's opinion that it's gonna increase jobs and community stability and bring in trained people to rent the houses and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Can I point something out?
Yeah.
So we bring in, say, just for the sake of argument, we bring in 50 more people, okay, that are gonna need 50 more homes that they won't be able to afford.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're once again
It's a
up against,
vicious circle.
Well, it's also the 50 jobs that you create for the detention facility are at the expense of the 200
Of how many
jobs
you
because of how
lose.
many businesses close.
exactly. We have such a huge housing issue here compared to most places that it's mind-boggling. So if we were to draft a letter or resolution, we would comment on the lack of infrastructure to be able to support it and the negative economic impact to include housing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it would, but if you say,
I don't think
I
we
can go with the
need,
infrastructure.
I don't think we need housing, but just say the
Negative
negative
economic impact.
impacts, yeah.
All right,
I can agree with that one.
okay,
I could agree with that.
all right.
And then I think I'd only like to suggest that we consider as we continue this conversation over the night. I particularly liked that in the City of Newport's statement, they did include the idea that the placement of that does not align with our community's values. So I do think that some sort of language like that also does add some emphasis on that broader consideration of whether or not we believe that the detention center aligns with the values of our community.
Well, I can understand that, and I can appreciate that, but we can't speak for our community because we don't know what our community of Toledo actually wants. We can say what we want up here, but we shouldn't speak for our community without the community's input.
Yeah, I mean,
My 2 cents.
I agree.
But I agree with what you're saying.
And I guess
but-
I'd say this is the
Well, I think
meeting.
they had the folks in the room that showed that.
Yes.
So they had an outpouring of people
That 800.
that, you know, the 800 people that were aligned with what you just said.
Yeah, and I just suggest 2 things in response to that. One, that this is an opportunity for the public to make comment on this directly if they feel that we can't represent them. And 2, that's literally our job up here. Our job up here is to consider our community, to recognize that we are the elected representatives of our community, and there are 7 of us to make sure of that.
6.
Well, 7 positions.
Okay, there you go.
6 of us currently, but 7 positions up here so that we can adequately represent our community. And I think the way our battles up here, I think, show that we represent a pretty decent swath of.
Well, and that's why, and I will say this, because we have someone, and Jackie, I appreciate your views, I really do. I'm glad to hear them, okay? Because that right there is why I am not comfortable with saying what that last moniker you want to put in there, is because it's not our entire community. There is a good section of our community that probably does not align with that. And so narrowing it down to the infrastructure and the negative economic impact, I think we all could agree on that part.
Yes.
I think that's true. There are people out there cheering on the ICE facility.
There are, and I'm gonna keep my comments as far as the whole situation small, because I have a view that doesn't align with hardly anybody. So, you know,
Thank you.
I think that, you know, for what we were just talking about, if we were to have all gone out in the community and spoke with a bunch of people, I know you have, I know that for a fact. I haven't, Jackie, you know whatnot. It's a little harder to gauge our community's input outside of reading on Facebook. And keyboard warriors on Facebook will say all kinds of stuff just to make them look cool. But I agree when, you know, it's something our community should, but I don't think we should speak on it.
I want to say something. It just popped in my head and it's
Oh,
like, oh shit, here it comes now. Anyway,
Hold on.
welcome to
Jackie, I
Toledo.
heard a quote a long time ago that true bravery is standing up when you're the only one with a different opinion in the room. True bravery is standing up and speaking your mind even amongst your friends.
Yep.
It's not who goes along with everybody else. It's saying, I see this as an unpopular opinion, but I have it and I'm gonna say my truth.
I'm fully aware, after last week's meeting, that coming here tonight, I'd have very little impact.
Oh,
because I'm
yes.
I
outnumbered.
disagree.
I disagree.
I
Because I'm out-
disagree.
No, just simply because I'm outnumbered. I realize that my political views are.
Well, but you
However,
already
but
are
thank you for
helping.
that.
You're
But your
already,
opinion is valued.
your opinion is valued and we have to take that into account in
And
anything we
you
say.
greatly help keep us in
So-
line.
I need to ask Sergeant Pitcher because he might know this for a fact. As far as I understand it, the, for lack of a better word, the prison that is down in Coos County is no longer being utilized by the state. Is that correct?
I see the same comments online. I don't know the facts.
Because I believe it got shut down a couple years ago. And so part of me would like to know why, if there is a facility that is already engineered for this,
Why reinvent the wheel?
why reinvent the wheel? And why not use that facility? Just part of my
You're saying-
looking at logistics. Wouldn't that save a whole lot of taxpayer money?
You would think.
Mayor, just to clarify, was that facility that you referenced, was that a state facility, did you
Yes.
say? Thank you.
All right, so I think we can go with consensus on the Part B for infrastructure and negative economic impact, and just leave
Can
it
we
at
just
those
say
two things.
potential
Okay.
negative impact?
Yep.
I like that even, because I don't know that, you know, one of the most charming communities in Minnesota is Stillwater, the birthplace of Minnesota. They have a penitentiary there. Didn't impact one bit any kind of tourism, not at all. And the people didn't like it. They were up in arms about it. You know, it's a very, very blue state. However, so, I mean, we don't really know. My concern, and why I say no, is the infrastructure. All the other stuff, I don't have a crystal ball and neither
Mhm.
do any of you.
We understand.
I agree.
So I appreciate you being willing to say potential.
I agree.
All
You're
right,
an elected official here, your voice matters.
yes,
Yes.
plain and simple. Walter, would you like to address us on the helicopter?
Question about that. How come the helicopter is being taken? Do they need the room for the detention center? That's why it's been removed? I don't understand how that got impacted. Can you address that, Walter?
Do you have any, let me put it this way, Walter, come on up, just come on up. But as I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah, I love you, Frank. DHS has not flatly stated why they were moving the helicopter, have they?
They haven't communicated anything about it.
So it's not related to,
We don't know, we don't know,
I've heard both.
okay?
well, I
So
don't
go
know.
ahead, Walter.
So this is the reason why we filed suit against Coast Guard, because this is something tangible. I was involved with when the helicopter left in 2014, when I was with the Port Commission. The port joined on with the lawsuit with the fishermen's wives, and I was one of the people that went to Eugene to support them in federal court. Consequently, that ruling was found in favor of the fishermen's wives in 2015 and subsequently strengthened in 2018. There are specific steps in statute that needed to be done before there was anything to be done at the air facility, and that is why we've joined the suit. So I'm just going to talk about why we're doing it, and with not again speculation, because that's not
Thank you.
it's not helpful. So Newport Fishermen's Wives in Lincoln County filed suit in federal court Eugene on Friday, an injunction to bring the helicopter back. Subsequently, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield filed suit today in federal court for the same thing. We are not, right now, they're separate lawsuits. I've had numerous meetings with city, state officials, state agencies, federal agencies, contact with our federal representatives and senators, talk with county commissioners up and down the coast and statewide, and they are all concerned that helicopter is not going to be there because it's not just a coastal asset. That helicopter saves people from Harney County, from Wallowa County, Union County, and also all of the United States. I had a chance to brief the governor face to face about this because, unfortunately, the local people have been the one to be able to find out the most information. This is a public safety issue.
Yes.
Crab season is going to start, hopefully December 16th, unless they find another reason to delay it. Cold water survival, that is the main thing right now. There's, in the previous lawsuit, there was talk about how long someone can live in the water. Some of the standards that were put into the Coast Guard's findings were for warm water, and that does not apply here. One of the things that is really very concerning for us, why we need to have the helicopter stationed here, is the travel times. A helicopter leaving from North Bend or Astoria does not have the time to stay on station as one that left here at Newport. If the boat overturns, they do have EPIRBs, but that helicopter is still going to have to look for crew members. We had a discussion on Sunday with Coast Guard. Representative from Coast Guard came here. It was great to have him out here and get some updates from him, but there was not very much forthcoming as far as hard information. We look forward to having more conversations with them. As far as the federal state statute passed in 2018, their specific steps are lined out. I can give your city manager the number, and then she can look it up in yourself. I'm not going to bother you reading 10 paragraphs. 10 years ago, we're back, have to do it all over again. That's the hard part. I'll say just in the end, it's everybody's mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, nieces, nephews that will be out there in crab season. Some of the coldest water, some of the roughest conditions. The crabs are in great shape, but this early, that does not mean that's not a good a sign. From what the fishermen have told me, that That means there might not be a lot out there. So if the conditions are really bad, that means everyone is going to really be pushing to make that first drop count, and conditions might not matter.
May I ask a question? You said you were talking with the Coast Guard. I forgot, just recently you were talking to them about that. Do they have any power, or was it just basically a conversation?
They didn't say.
Okay,
They did not say.
I don't know how it works.
They were informing us, and it was not, we were given information, and it was not really,
And have a nice day.
that's probably not within their purview, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It was on a discussion, they were just,
Just a bit,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Be out there for crab season, the other thing that we need to remember is that the helicopter does not only save fishermen, it saves recreational fishermen, saves surfers, it saves people visiting the coast. The beach rangers, beach rescue people, it's an asset to them. Our first responders, I know personally some members that people that go in the forest and do logging, they show up and save them too.
Yep.
Like I said, it's just an asset that we need to have here. So, sorry, I can't answer questions. I can't speak for the Coast Guard. I'm just letting you know what I've been involved in, and yeah, we are just trying to make sure that helicopter comes back here as soon as possible. Like I said, I'll give your city manager the statute, and you can look from there. But as far as question and answering, I'm more of just a source of information right now.
You
Jackie,
by
go ahead.
any chance have any idea how long since a suit was filed? How long it takes to?
We are hoping to have it heard this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're acting for a quick.
And that's down in Eugene, you said?
Yeah.
And I'll warn you now, there's no parking, so.
That's true.
You went through that too.
I had to do the same thing over there.
Yeah.
So was Senator Wyden able to shine any light on this in his visit?
I will say that the Coast Guard, this is the first time he had Coast Guard contact with the Coast Guard for a month. So like I said, it has nothing to do with, we just need to make sure we get better informed and get the helicopter back there. I mean, it's been very hard to get any information out of anyone, and honestly, our federal officials have been reaching out to local people such as myself, the city council, and to find out what's going on here. So because we are boots on the ground, because we are a close-knit community, and that helicopter means so much to us, that's why we are able to find things out that they're not.
I certainly worry that it's a critical asset to the livelihood of our workers in particular. Getting back to what we were talking about before, but tourism, fishing, these are core industries for economic drivers. We can't afford to have people feel like they're not safe in our waters for any reason, whether they're doing it as visitors to the coast, going on a fishing expedition or surfing or anything like that, or it is our workforce that's going out there. They need to feel safe, and we need to make sure that they are. It's not lost on me at all that DHS oversees ICE and the Coast Guard, because at the time that we're facing a potential detention facility, something that is very important to a political element of our government, our DHS-controlled search and rescue helicopter was taken away from our community in the dark of night.
Well, here's my issue, just right at this is the rock bottom stuff here. Our fishermen are gonna go out, whether there's a helicopter here or not. And I'll be honest, it's not a matter of if one of them will die over the course of this winter. It'll be a when. Okay? Because They're gonna go out because they need the money. They're gonna go to work. They've got to do the job. And this ocean, for those of us that have lived here long enough, is a very, very fickle mistress.
Oh, it's an unforgiving bitch. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, thank you, Tracy. I was trying not to go there, but
Well, I went there.
the weather on that ocean changes in instants. You can be leaving Newport Bay, and I've been on a boat when this has happened. I have left Newport Bay in a November day that was beautiful, sunny, and awesome, and there wasn't anything in the forecast for 7 hours. So we figure we can get out and we can get back, no problem. Boy, where we woke up in the wrong way, okay? Getting back took everything we had to get our 25-foot boat back in, because the ocean decided that we were gonna go fly surfing that day. And if you don't know what fly surfing is, it's trying to jump between one crest of a wave to another with your boat, because if you tilt over, you're probably gonna go down. And these guys do this for a living.
Well, we'll throw another monkey wrench in it with NOAA taking away our early warning system for tsunamis.
Anyway.
So one other thing to consider too is, I talked with one of the Tillamook commissioners and also the Dorian, and there is, I would almost say a blind spot in coverage up there between Nesquin and Pacific City, and that is another concern. And the crab fleet fishes up and down the coast. I mean, we have some of our fellows, they're down there past Yachats. We have a number of boats that are up there off Pacific City. So those permits are good, coast, border to border, and that's the other concern that we need to make sure,
So if you ever want to see something spectacular, go in the middle of winter in January or end of December if they ever get out that early. And at night when it's clear, and just see, you wonder when you're driving, in this case, north on 101, you wonder what that other city coastline is that you see out there, because there's just lights everywhere from Florence on. And it's all of our fishermen are out there trying to make their living.
Yeah.
And when we have crap weather, and it can come up at any time, accidents happen. It's a fact of human nature. We need to get the helicopter back.
Said this last week, but the US fishing industry, sea fishing industry sees about 120 deaths per 100,000 workers. That's nationwide. This region's crabbing industry sees about 320.
Yep.
Per 100,000. So I mean, as we are entering crabbing season with the largest Dungeness crabbing fleet, period, we, and Newport specifically, that is a workforce that does get, that's deeply rooted in Toledo just as much as Newport.
Commissioner, you said there was a gap between Pacific City and where?
Nesquin, yeah, just cascaded area, yeah, and that's.
Yeah, thank you. Jackie?
So what can we do as a council in support of this? Do we need to make an official proposal letter to the Coast Guard, or maybe you know the answer to that, so that we can be in support of this initiative?
What I would do is maybe have your city council reach out to our county council and talk to them and see how you can, what the best way forward would be.
Okay, because I don't want this just to be, oh, well, that was a nice conversation.
Right. No, you're right on.
It's a little hard for smaller cities to do anything on this. I would imagine the same thing as what we were talking about earlier. My personal thing is I plan on sending off some emails from my government email. It might just be a fleck of dust on their computer screen, but at least I know I'm going to continue to try to send emails as often as I can and hope I piss them off enough that they'll actually open one up.
I think there are a couple of degrees of action that we could take. One is having that proclamation coming from the city saying that whereas we want to protect our workforce, we want to protect our fishers, we recognize that this issue is going to deeply affect citizens of Toledo as much as Newport, et cetera. Having that proclamation saying that we are denouncing the removal and we are calling for the
I'd say we are
reinstatement of it.
protesting the removal.
And we'll work
the
on
language.
that.
I have a question real quick before
Yes.
it gets my head. Who took care of the North Bend area for search and rescue before they took our helicopter down there?
Wasn't there already one there?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's 5 helicopters.
I thought they had lost theirs down there for some reason.
No, but it has been in and out of service, from what I understand from the North Bend folks.
So they really had no reason to move it down.
No comment.
The second degree that we could take beyond, so proclamation, I think, is the thing that we all, that we
If we're doing whereas, that's for a resolution.
our resolution, okay.
It's okay, just
Yeah.
I'm making sure that we're
Yeah.
communicating what we're supposed to.
So Jackie's question was, what can we do? So there are a couple steps beyond the declaration, the official stance of the city on the matter. A next step that we could take is we heard from Mayor Kaplan during our meeting last week that there was a desire for or a hope that some of the other communities that are involved in this can provide financial support of the legal effort of suing to make sure that this helicopter is returned to Newport. And then third is, I don't know whether it's possible to do this, but to join the lawsuit with Newport, the Fishermen's Wives, and the county.
I don't think that what the mayor said was just relative to the helicopter. That when he was asking for financial support, it was about
The facility.
the whole ball of wax. So I didn't get that he was asking for support just for the helicopter.
It's asking for, but yes, okay, I appreciate that. And I suppose take the Mayor Kaplan's request out of what I was saying, and you still have the same core of helping to finance as a partner in the effort, potentially joining the lawsuit, as a co-plaintiff, if that's something that is still possible for us to do.
Would that be
But those are
in
the
our
three.
budget? That's my other question, because I know the lawsuit against FEMA cost, it was nominal, it was like 5,000, but
Yeah.
I didn't know money lady over there.
Oh, don't look at me today.
Just about like,
Yeah.
would it be in our budget to be able to do that? And I mean, if that's a case about, suing to join a lawsuit to bring this Coast Guard helicopter back, if it's within our reason, I would think we should do it.
Or effective.
What I would suggest on that question, because it is a very valid one, is as part of your discussion this evening, if the consensus that you reach is that you're interested in potentially joining the lawsuit, that you ask the city manager to bring you back a cost estimate for that at your next meeting. And I also saw Councilor Kaufman point toward the screen. Did our city attorney have a comment on that?
Well, no, I was gonna say we could also ask the attorney
Oh.
if it's even, is it a wild goose chase?
Savani, have you had a chance to look into this lawsuit at all yet?
No, I haven't, and I don't know what the procedural requirements would be in terms of joining parties and timeframes. There is often the opportunity to participate as an amicus, which is not necessarily a party, but just a brief in support. And we can talk, Rich, you and I can talk about what that might look like and present some options at the next meeting.
And I think that might be part of the conversation that Commissioner Chuck was suggesting, that we could ask you to reach out to the county council to kind of determine how the city of Toledo could support their lawsuit.
And I would also mention good timing this week and with this meeting. The city attorney and I usually meet on Monday and talk about, what's going on. We had to move that to tomorrow before this meeting was scheduled. So we have a meeting on the books and can add that to our agenda tomorrow.
Well, so, and Savani, you can correct me if I'm wrong, as I understand it, so we could do one of three things, or two of three things, whatever y'all decide, right? Okay, we could provide some nominal funds to make sure this goes through, okay? Or we could do what was mentioned, an amicus brief, which is a brief that is filed with the court in support of one side or the other. In this case, it would be on the side of the fishermen's wives and the county.
Is that like a letter of support that's written?
Yeah, it's like a letter of support, but it's in legalese and it'll speak directly to not just the facts of the law, but also the impact on our community. Okay, and that's why we would be an amicus brief on this. And the other thing, and the last thing, of course, is to financially and physically join the suit. I think for us, at this point, the amicus brief is probably our better way to go, just because we don't have a huge deep pocket. But I would really appreciate if you guys talk about that tomorrow in your meeting.
Sure.
Because we do need to address it, and we need to address it with more than just, we support you and have a great day. Okay, we need to put a little bit more teeth into this.
So while we're all here, can I request that we put this on our next meeting for a discussion?
Well, wait, the meeting is in 5 days, did you say, in Eugene?
No, he's hoping that it's gonna be done in this next week.
We hope they're gonna be, the initial hearing will be within the next week.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, but what you've asked for is an injunction against the move that would be put in place until the actual legal proceeding takes place. And that's what you're hoping will be reviewed within the next week.
So in other words, Jackie, an injunction would make them bring it back until the court case went through the courts.
Yeah. And so even if we were to join the lawsuit after the injunction is decided, and it can be issued or not, but we would still have the opportunity to issue an amicus brief, join the lawsuit, whatever council chooses to do before the actual legal proceeding.
So I guess my whole point is that after you and Savani have your meeting and you figure out what the city of Toledo can and cannot do, can we have this added to a discussion next week or next meeting on the 3rd?
Absolutely.
And I would say have it such as we've done.
Be a decision item?
Right, that's what I was gonna say, make it a discussion / decision item. So that if we do reach full consensus and we do reach a point where we are all okay with it, we can just do it.
Sounds good.
I like that.
I kind of feel like we're all in consensus on the helicopter, like that's no question.
It's the degree of support that we are.
That's
We're
what
gonna need to know.
That's what I'm wanting to discuss is after he has a round table with Savani, what legally the city can do. I think at the bare minimum.
Table or a rectangular.
Well, we think of the
table.
banana table too.
Okay.
But we want, if, at the bare minimum, I think we should do that, whatever briefcase thing you were just
Turn
talking
his
about.
head.
So
Didn't pay attention to me.
I think
Forward that
to sum up, again, getting back to that idea of like there are degrees of support, but they're not mutually exclusive, right? So the declaration that we support the lawsuit, that we support the city of Newport, the fishermen's wives, the county in this effort, that we want the helicopter back. That is something that I believe that I hear that we are in consensus that at a minimum, we should and will do that declaration.
Correct.
It's just the degree to which
We go the
do
next step.
Right.
Do we do the amicus or do we do the lawsuit?
No, you can, just because I'm not a legalese person, you can do both the amicus and join the lawsuit, right? Or
Technically, yes, but you shouldn't because you're doing the same thing if you join the law.
Okay. Makes sense.
Is it even necessary for us to join the lawsuit, though? I mean, the lawsuit.
That's why I thought of the amicus brief, because we're in support of them,
We can't financially.
but we can't financially commit to darn near anything.
Yeah, I know we're broke.
Well,
Yes, Jackie?
So then really, the helicopter is not really even related to the ice detention. All of this, it seemed like it was,
Well, the only reason it was is because
it's
because the
fine.
timing,
yeah,
move, ice, and it was literally within 24 hours.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
And it really got conflated, it just, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yay.
Okay. So, Rich, have we given you enough of our thoughts so that we can move forward for the third?
I believe so for items B and C.
Okay.
And I know that you tabled, that's an official term. You put a pin
Yeah.
in item
Not
A.
table it. Yeah.
Yes. So you put a pin in that conversation earlier in the meeting. So I believe I have enough for B and C. I would like to revisit item A and get a sense of where council wants to come down there.
Okay. Revisit tonight or revisit next week?
In order to, it's not the place of the city manager to speak policy into the mouths of the city council.
I'd
So
like to revisit tonight.
if that's what I was getting at, is if what you want at your next meeting is draft language to consider, then revisit tonight.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that I confirm on the two items that we have provided clarity for. My own sense of clarity, have we asked for two declarations to be drafted?
I think so.
I just want to make sure that was the call to action that we had.
Thank you for clarifying that, Counselor. So what I was envisioning was one resolution that spoke to all topics. So it sounds like you're looking for two separate declarations. So, okay, that was good clarity. Thank you.
So the intention is that we will be reviewing drafted, already written declarations for those two items
Correct.
at our meeting and voting to approve them.
Correct.
Okay.
And real quick, before we get into A, because it's on my brain, should we think about maybe starting that meeting instead at 6 at 5 with how much stuff is piling on the 3rd? It seems like there's
Well, we're
gonna be
gonna
a
have an
long
executive
meeting.
session before,
After.
after, that's right, after.
So if the only thing to keep in mind is if you start the meeting at a time any other than 6 p.m., it becomes a special meeting. And then you are limited exclusively to the items on the agenda for that meeting.
So,
I mean, we could have a special meeting just for this and at least knock it off the list.
I just didn't know how busy our schedule's gonna be
The
on the
question
3rd. I
becomes,
know
do you get
there's a
done
lot of
within
stuff
an
being
hour?
added on. And then we've got the executive at the end.
What I will commit to you is to put as many items as I think are feasible on your consent agenda and be as brief as we possibly can in the presentations on the other items in order to best limit the time.
Hi.
As it stands now, Rich, we have two things, I believe, on the consent agenda, which would be the minutes of this meeting. And I think there's another set of minutes that need to be signed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the consent agenda can be any item that's routine in nature. So there are some things that would probably otherwise go under decision items that we can probably put on there. So I'll put as much as I can on your consent agenda.
Right.
I'll be as brief as I can in my presentations on your other items to limit the length of the meeting as best as we can. If you want to start at 5, we can. I just wanted to mention that it is a special meeting.
let's start at 6. And housekeeping stuff we can put on consent.
And if something that gets moved but typically isn't on the consent agenda gives us pause, you just
pull it off.
leave and discuss.
I was just gonna say.
Exactly.
Always forward.
I retract my question about starting at 5.
So
I second that.
On discussion item A, is there anything, I mean, I think Jackie does have a very valid point in that just speaking on how they do things, what good does it do for us to, as a council, speak about it? We can all speak about those things as we want to. We just can't speak for the entire council.
Not only that, but I will echo what Jackie has said, and I've seen it in the one-sided media that happens in this country. They are not gonna show a single easy ICE arrest on camera because that doesn't sell ratings and it doesn't sell pissed off people. The only thing you're gonna see on there is the bad tactics that I agree are not right, but you're not gonna see the correct tactics that could quite possibly be shown by people that have the correct training, yakety smackety. It's kind of hard to look at the media as being one-sided because it's absolutely not.
I would like to address the brownout letter. That I did as much investigation as I possibly could to try and find out some sort of source. And really what I came up with, because I read that, and in the letter, it makes reference to supporting people or reporting people with brown skin to ICE and Homeland Security. And when I went, and so I thought, well, okay, but they're not offering how to do that. So I went to those websites to look and see how, okay, I found somebody with brown skin, I want to report them. There weren't links on either of those websites in which I could report somebody with brown skin or any skin or anyway. So the conclusion I came to, because I tend to lean this way, is that if I wanted to get people really pissed off and up in arms, I would write a letter like that and put it out there.
They were mailed from numerous post offices.
Yes.
Right, but I'm not saying it's just any one person doing it, but I'm saying it was damn effective when you think about it, because there was so much stuff going on about it. I don't know a person alive in my circle of friends, family, that would do something as heinous as that. I really don't.
Well,
So-
I'm glad for you. I really am. And I mean that very sincerely, because I have lived in parts of this country where if you had black skin, you were pulled over. If you had black skin, you were treated differently than I was treated in the same instance. So I guess that's probably why it touched me so hard, because I've seen this type of behavior. I've seen it up close. I've seen it personally. And Jackie, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, I don't think my kids have ever seen it, and I hope to God they never do. Okay, but I have. And I know it's within the human nature to be that way.
The intent of the letter, though, was really geared towards the illegals. It was really intended to go after the immigrants. I grew up in the projects, Rod, so, what you're saying is not lost on me. But this letter was sheer evil. It really was. And so I'm thinking about the impact that it had on the community. Do you think there was anybody in our community that really said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, I'm gonna round them up?
Yes.
Yep.
We saw it on social media.
I did actually also see a comment on somebody's post, and I won't say anything, echoing the same thing that you just said about, it seems like all they want to do is rile people up, which is in fact what it did. I can speak to somebody that I have spoken to that absolutely would do exactly what that letter says.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to them since because, I'll be frank, my wife is Mexican. My kids are brown. I don't care what somebody's skin color is, it all matters what's on the inside.
Yeah.
But there are people who would in fact act on that letter if it was actually a valid thing, like if those websites were real, there are people that would actually act on it. Not as many as, say, South Carolina, over there on the east, where if you're brown, you shouldn't be driving, period. But over here, there's not as many, but there are some. Yeah, I will say that.
So in terms of a resolution, I don't see anything that we need to do other than just say that we're not tolerant of people with different color skin, race, creed, color. We're not gonna stand for it.
So
We're not gonna tolerate them, or we're not gonna tolerate racist actions against them. Because it might be important to say.
I caught the wording, but I was focusing on the.
I knew the intent.
You know what I meant.
So here's a question, and it has a lot to do with the fact that, and then I work with youth, and I'm gonna call youth 30 and below in this case. Most of them cannot recite any part of the Declaration of Independence or any part of the preamble to the Constitution.
I'm 49, I can't do that.
And I almost feel like that should be part of what resolution we do, is to remind people the values, not perfect values. So do you want to throw up the things that they were all into? I don't disagree. They were not perfect people, okay? Neither are we. But they had a dream. They had a vision of how a country should function. And they put it on paper. And for 250 years, we've tried to abide by that. And unfortunately, I think we've forgotten it. I think we've forgotten that a lot of the people who have come to this country did not do it legally. There are a lot of people at Ellis Island and other places that slipped through the cracks, didn't go through all the processes. And yet, today, they're all called citizens.
And most citizens can't actually pass the.
Oh, yeah, the immigration test? Oh, my goodness.
That's where my family landed, was Ellis Island, from the Azores.
Yep. So
Where do we go?
So what do you think? Do we want to still do a resolution on that letter and just reiterate America?
Yeah, tell them to read the preamble.
I mean, it's also, I think, I don't think that the resolution doesn't have to be focused on that letter at all, but it is very much about our values.
Well, I
right?
remember you
Yeah.
talking about us, we were going to do something like
Yeah,
that. So
and-
do we do something that limits it to that, or do we do a broader scope?
I think it's more about the value that we were trying to focus on. Why we, denounce that letter. It's because of the values that our community has. The Toledo welcomes you, not welcome to Toledo signs at our entrances to town. The stuff that bucks against the fact that one of our most historically significant events is running people of color out of town.
Yep.
We are not the community that we were 100 years ago.
Exactly.
We are more welcoming. We are, we are more tolerant. We are more embracing. We are intolerant of racism. But I think that this declaration, this resolution, is not as much about the Brown Roundup letter, but we are now today having a conversation about largely the values that letter challenged. And so a year ago, when the concepts of that letter were in the abstract, the possibility that this racially motivated Brown Roundup was going to happen, we could say that's not something we want here. Now we are looking at something that is very, very similar and challenging those same ideals and forcing us to say they're at the door now. The challenge of our values is here today. And so I'm more focused on the values and the message that we hope to send about how welcome people are in our community.
Well, then, it brings up that immigration is gonna happen, or deportation is gonna happen. It will happen. Regardless if we're a sanctuary state, eventually it's gonna happen.
Is that how big I did my basement?
And so, with that being said, so, is it racist to think, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with race. It's about,
But I think, so you're right, in the aspect of the law, okay, you're correct, okay? The problem is that in our left or right media, because there's very little center left, in our left or right media, it is currently about what your skin color is. It's not about the law. It's not about drawing what I read, that letter of civil infraction versus criminal infraction. It's not about if you've been in and out of our jails and been deported 3 times before. Okay, it's about within the media stream we get, it's about your skin color. And I think what Andrew's trying to point out is a resolution reiterating what the ideals and values of this city is. Wherein you're welcome here. Now, does that mean we welcome a criminal? Well, nobody does that. Nobody says, hey, I want the guy that just robbed 3 banks. Why don't you come over and live here?
Unless you're Captain Newsom.
No, he's not welcome in my basement.
Anyway, I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think we're talking
and I
about
just want to be clear about that.
right,
That
that we're talking about, this is what it means to be a Toledoan. Okay, that these are what we hold as our values. Does that make sense?
And I would, and if we wanted to come down to the values as they relate to that Brown Roundup concept, we don't have to denounce ICE or anything like that, but to say that in a time where our country is dealing with challenges around racism and the way people with brown skin are being treated in this country, that we do not stand for that behavior. We do not stand for those values that are in such contradiction with ours.
you can't, just people of color then, rather than.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if I'm gonna speak on this issue at all, I don't think it should be directly stated about ICE, DHS.
No, not at all.
It needs to be stated that
No, not at
the
all.
city of Toledo does not
This is what
welcome
we
or
stand
accept
for.
racism, that everybody, regardless of race, skin color, identity, religion, it doesn't matter, you're all welcome here.
Correct.
You can all matter.
That's why I said ideals and values.
So what I would like to clarify with everybody, and I think everything that has been said here is positive and valuable. Because I'm the stickler that I am, we're in a special meeting. We have discussion needs to be connected to the items on the agenda. So for item A that I asked you to unpin and come back to, the header is recent DHS activity in Lincoln County. And I think that, as I said a second ago, I think that everything you're talking about the values of our community and the things that we stand for and support is all very valuable. So what I would ask you to do is connect it now to
It's our reaction.
that topic.
So how I connect it to this is quite simply, this issue has been a quote national issue or a Portland issue, if you will, for the last several months. It has now come home to us here in Lincoln County. The issues surrounding DHS, whether that be moving a helicopter or the high indications that there was going to be a facility placed here. both have brought that home to us, and we feel the need to reiterate to our community and to those around our community what Toledo stands for.
Very good. Thank you.
I can't connect my statement, those are DHS activity.
No, but you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that because this is now in our backyard.
It's
Okay?
our reaction to it.
This is our reaction to it. This is what Toledo's about. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with ICE or not, this is the community that we all represent. This is the community and the ideals of this community, that we do welcome everyone of whatever ism you're in. Does that make sense?
We might say in light of recent DHS activities in Lincoln County, here's our stance.
Here is where
To
Toledo
treat everyone
is.
with love, dignity, and respect,
Yes,
yada, yada, yada.
right.
No, that way I can connect it with DHS.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at. I'm glad you said that. Thank you.
And basically say this is the only, only way we find this. I'll never say acceptable, but that's okay. I don't believe in arresting women and children. But that's just that's my personal stance, not the city council stance, and there's the difference. We all have our personal stances.
Did that fill your, okay,
Perfectly.
all
Thank you.
right. Any final thoughts before we move to reports and comments?
I just, even though I think it was implicit or implied, I would like to confirm on the record with council that your consensus is to have the city manager and city attorney confer on 3 draft resolutions that council will consider voting to approve at your December 3rd meeting with potential revisions. Is that the consensus of council?
Yes.
You betcha.
Thank you.
I think you got a unanimous consensus there.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other comments before we move on? All right. Anything in reports and comments, sir?
Nothing from me this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for indulging us in this exercise.
I didn't lose any weight.
Me neither, unfortunately.
No, but your brain got built up.
I'm Portuguese, there's not much there.
Frank, I disagree with you. I always have. So with that, thank you all for coming out tonight. Thanks for doing what we've done. I think we've all spoken our mind, and I think we've reached what I would call a good community consensus.
And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right. We are adjourned.